And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, to the video of WCW Nitro, September 16th, 1996 retro review. As promised, I know I didn't really deliver on the day that I said that I would be delivering these videos, but I do apologize. There has been some problems, personal things going on in my life, and don't really want to get into that kind of shit. But I'm delivering today the WCW Nitro review. I'm gonna, after this, going to be delivering the WWE Monday Night Raw review, retro review from January of well, wait, no, February 1st of 1999. Excuse me, I do apologize about that. But first up, coming the first video is WCW September 16th, 1996 retro review. Ladies and gentlemen, just to start things off here, I was not too impressed with the build-up with this show. It was kind of, they did a good job building up NWO versus WCW here, as they've been doing with the last couple of episodes I have seen, but match quality, the matches are too short, number one. Number two, they aren't all that great, the matches. And number three, there is no other storylines developing throughout the show while you watch it. It's just NWO versus WCW stuff. Now, granted, it is good stuff. It's very entertaining content that they got going on here with this storyline. The problem with it is it's the only thing they got going throughout these episodes. That's my issue. That's my problem with it. Now, moving on with the show to discuss the matches and some of the information that I do remember from the promos I saw. Number one, dealing with one promo that was a very good promo. Sting came out in the middle of the show. He was supposed to tag team with Lex Luger against Chris Benoit and Steve McMichael, the other half of the Four Horsemen, during this time. They're the second version of the Four Horsemen, may I add. Not the original. But anyway, getting on with the program here, Sting pretty much just comes out, announces that he felt hurt. He disliked the fact that his whole entire team from WCW pretty much didn't believe what he was telling them. They believed he betrayed WCW for NWO. Number one, he was not there during that point when he supposedly, quote unquote, betrayed WCW for NWO. So in that case, he was actually at Japan doing New Japan Wrestling, I believe, is the company he was actually, competing in. But he was not there during that episode from September 9th, the episode just before the Fall Brawl pay-per-view. So he pretty much said, if the ones that did believe in me and believe what I was telling them was the truth, I like you guys. I represent you guys. If you didn't believe in me, you thought I was betraying WCW, you can all go stick it. Because, in all honesty, the belief is that Sting is the catalyst, of WCW and the workhorse of WCW during that time. And, of course, he was, as well as Ric Flair. Ric Flair and Sting carried WCW back in the day. They were the two iconic stars of WCW, so there's no doubt about it in that scenario. Now, getting into other things with this show, pretty much he walks out on the whole entire thing. He announces that he is a free agent. He does not work for WCW and NWO, and supposedly the announcers, for some whacked out reason, had the belief that the NWO could still have a chance to still get the actual Sting, which is beyond me. I don't know why they would think that, but whatever. On top of that, with all that being said, this also led to the beginning of the black and white Sting that we know today, which was a great way of introducing that type of Sting into WCW storylines, as well into his future career as this character. So I think it was absolutely awesome the way they did that. They did a picture perfect, completely rearranged his character into something iconic. I mean, the Stinger that we know from the old days before he became black and white Sting was still great, but it wasn't like a Undertaker. It wasn't like a Stone Cold Steve Austin type iconic look. It was a John Cena kind of thing, I guess you could say, or a Hulk Hogan. So that's all I have to say on that. But anyway, moving on with the program here. First match on the card, Rey Mysterio is defending the WCW Cruiserweight Championship against Juventud Guerrera. Have to say, this was an absolute amazing match, well performed by both men. If anything, if you catch this episode, I highly recommend watching that match. It's the first match on the card, so you'll be able to see it right away and get through it and enjoy yourself watching that. It definitely was intriguing, entertaining, and a lot of enjoyable cruiserweight action in this match. Definitely, I think WCW messed up when they didn't make the cruiserweight title as a secondary main event type championship, where like if they decide they don't want to put the world title on the line, they could go ahead and build up the cruiserweight title as the main event and do some good storyline build up towards the pay-per-view and make that as their main event match. I really think they should have made the WCW Cruiserweight title as a secondary major title that could be used when the heavyweight title was not on the line during a pay-per-view. I think that would have made things a lot better, made the pay-per-views a lot better, and even given the smaller guys an opportunity to have the spotlight in the main event card. Or just in the main event, excuse me. Diamond, this match, I have to say, was a 4 out of 5 star match. The only unfortunate thing about this was it wasn't at least 10 minutes long. It was only about 6 minutes and 54 seconds long, and that's about it. Diamond Dallas Page defeating Ice Train. Nothing exciting happened here. This match lasted for 4 minutes and 40 seconds. Quite frankly, I was not impressed with this match, but thankfully the right guy won. DDP walks away as the winner of that match. Nothing big happened there. I was not into Ice Train. I have not liked his in-ring work since I've seen him on these episodes and started watching WCW episodes to do these retro reviews. But with all that being said, I give it a 2.5 out of 5 stars. That's about all I'm going to say on that. Conan versus Super Kulo. Not even interested in that match. I have to say, Conan was a fucking shitty-ass wrestler. Nothing exciting happened there. This match was a freaking shit fest and a boring one at that. I give it a 2 out of 5 stars. Brad Armstrong versus Hugh Morris. Even more horrible than Conan versus Super Kulo. I give this a 2 out of 5 stars, maybe even a 1.5 out of 5 stars. This was fucking garbage. Conan, by the way, beat Super Kulo, and Brad Armstrong beat Hugh Morris in those 2 matches. So was not impressed at all in these 2 matches at all whatsoever. The next match after that was Scott Norton versus Randy Savage, and Randy Savage lost the match by DQ. He actually, from what I remember, I think he got himself disqualified, hit Scott Norton with a chair and what have you, and that was about it. We also saw Glacier in his in-ring debut and by the way, that match, I give it a 3 out of 5 stars. The action was a little bit decent, but it was kind of slow and a little bit boring, but it wasn't that bad. I mean, it's a take it or leave it kind of thing to take a look at that match, I'd have to say. Glacier, his in-ring debut. This guy was a fucking Sub-Zero wannabe who used martial arts and a mixture of wrestling mixed into his in-ring work. And I have to say this much, it absolutely fucking sucked. He's doing karate moves like it's like he's Jackie Chan or freaking Jean-Claude Van Damme or whatever. This guy sucked, and he was a wannabe Sub-Zero. I'm surprised Mortal Kombat did not go ahead and sue WCW for copyright infringement, because a lot of the stuff that this guy had represented Sub-Zero 100%. I say this match was absolute fucking garbage, and I give it a 1 out of 5 stars, no doubt. Leading up into the match of Arn Anderson and Ric Flair facing Jericho and Marcus Alexander Bagwell. We find out that X-Pac, that we know of, Sean Walton, which was then in WCW called Six or Six-Pac in WCW, was the sixth man for NWO. So that's where they came up with the name of Six, and of course with him being having the Pac part in there, he called himself Six-Pac. And that's pretty much it. They were sending advertisements all over the arena about NWO, sending all kinds of messages on these pieces of paper that they had the logo of the NWO and then some comments written beneath it. Nice little build up there, storyline telling of how, you know, NWO is trying to take over WCW slowly but surely, like a bad cancer, like how Vincent Mann called NWO, bringing them into WWE at the time, was. We're just like a cancer. They slowly but surely was creeping into the company and trying to destroy it. And that was a very good deal they were trying to do. But during the match, they were sending a shitload of different pieces of paper, like I said, with the image of the logo of NWO and all the writing on it of different messages written all over it. It was kind of cool. It was distracting both teams of Arn Anderson, Ric Flair, and Jericho and Marcus Bagwell. So, I mean, it was kind of a cool idea what they were doing. This actually was the longest match. It was 11 minutes long, which is shocking. I know, very surprising here. Arn Anderson and Ric Flair managed to pick up the victory over Jericho and Marcus Bagwell. And I have to say this much, this match was pretty decent. Old school, classic, traditional wrestling style match. And the way I rank it, as I give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Pretty good action, decent at best. And definitely worth watching on this episode. Lex Luger going up against Chris Benoit, Steve McMichael in a 2-on-1 handicap match. This ended up being a disqualification where pretty much Ric Flair and Arn Anderson got in the middle of this match trying to help Chris Benoit and Steve McMichael try to win, but they got them disqualified, so I don't know how the hell they helped them, but whatever. I guess they were just trying to beat the hell out of Lex Luger and get that accomplished. I guess that was the point. But with all that being said, at the end of the show, and this match, I wouldn't even really dignify this match at all. This was just a fucking joke. Nothing was entertaining about it. I mean, I give it a 2.5 out of 5 stars. But at the end of the show, you see Hulk Hogan and the rest of the gang of the NWO partying it up in the back seat of a limousine, and they're just having a grand old time, and that's pretty much how the show ended. Now, overall, my opinion, once again, just to recap what I was trying to say, this was, I have to say, probably one of the shittiest fucking WCW Nitro episodes I've ever seen. Outside of a few matches and some good storyline build-up, this whole fucking show as a whole was garbage. I mean, it wasn't even worth an hour and 30 minutes of your time, and this was a 2-hour episode, but you include the commercials, it makes it 2 hours, of course. But overall, this show just was bleh. It was garbage. It was bland. It was boring. There was nothing too much excitement going on except for the fact that the storyline build-up between WCW and NWO a Cruiserweight Championship match, and a few other matches that were pretty okay at best. Uh, and that's about it. I mean, that's really all I could get out of this. That really caught my eye, and or I can even remember, to be quite honest with you, after watching this episode. I watched this episode about 2 or 3 days ago. So I mean, I was not too impressed with this at all. I think it was absolute fucking garbage. But that's my overall opinion about this episode. Um, but yeah, there's some good matches on here. There's some really great promos. Majority of it was just ugh, garbage. Anyway, at this time, ladies and germs, leave your comments and opinions down below. Let me know what you guys think. About I would recommend maybe taking a look at it, see what you guys thought, before making a comment. And then if you guys want, if you want to actually go ahead and make a comment now, if you've already seen the episode, you remember it or what have you. Um, I don't know how you would, unless you got a really good fucking memory. But anyway, if you want to go ahead and check that episode out, just to give an honest opinion, just go ahead, check it out. Watch some of the important things that you find valuable, and leave your comment and opinion down below, and let me know what you guys thought of it. Anyway, at this time, lay the smackdown on that subscribe button. Give it the DX chop of a lifetime, and X marks the spot, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great night, and I will be back for the Retro Raw review from February 1st. Thank you very much, and have a great night. Bye.